for you guys in regards to getting pictures from your athletes, whether it's a muscle gaining phase, a fat loss phase, a contest prep, a peak week, how do you guys prefer that being sent over to you?
Jeff, you want to start? Or you want me to? You want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Me myself, I you know how I am, you guys. I like to put things in my spreadsheets, and so usually I'll have a tab in there and I'll kind of throw up all my pictures in there, and usually I'll put little date stamps on them or body weight stamps, and stuff like that, and I'll just put them right there. Kind of in its own little separate tab in the spreadsheet, and it's pretty easy, with today's technology. You can just I can take a person's video and just kind of screenshot the pose that it is that I want, or the look that it is that I want. And when it first starts out, it's got nothing to do with flatness or fullness. It's just kind of like, how is our progress right now? Yeah. There's two different body weights right there that really are only about 2 pounds apart, but at the same time they look dramatically different. And so it's kind of just, I don't know, when I save the photos, it's kind of far and few between at the beginning. But then, of course, when you start getting to the end, I'm kind of spoiled in some instances, because sometimes clients will send stuff over to me. Okay, here's Monday, here's Tuesday, here's last week, and then here's today, And boy, you got to love those clients, don't you? When they just kind of put all of their stuff with the picture collage software and they put everything right out there for you. That makes our job so much easier. But those that don't do it, it's fine. I figure it out. I kind of put everything in that little tab in the protocol, and as we get closer, here's what people looked like 2 days after the refeed. Here's what they looked like, after this particular meal, this particular, food, what they looked like after a hard day of training in a refeed, or a not so hard day of training in a refeed. That's how I kind of like to see things, more so in terms of the topic that we're going to talk about. Not really even using the stuff from a while ago, when we're looking at how was fat loss going, how are we looking and holding on to our size. But now we're actually looking at, okay, this was 2 weeks ago on Monday. This was last week on Monday. This was today, and how they all compare as far as that goes. So that's kind of how I like to see things myself. And, shout out to those athletes that are super anal about all of their ducks in a row and actually put little picture collages together for us, because, man, that sure makes our job a lot easier.
So you said video, Brad. So do you prefer video in regards to keeping track of progress more so than pictures? Yeah.
You know what? I need the stuff in front of me is the big thing, and some people, it's easier for video because they just take the device, hit the timer, hit record, and then they just go through their posing, thing. And so, yeah, I'll get away with it, when those people that find it more convenient to do that. Others prefer the photos. Some people they'll stand in front of the camera for a half an hour out of their day, kind of getting the perfect photo. And so if they're going to do that, shoot, that's fine with me too. But it's kind of like my numbers. I want to have a number versus no number. I want to have something that's a guess versus a zero, And so if they send me a video, I just need the stuff in front of me, and then I'll kind of figure it out from there.
See, I'm a video guy, so you're a picture guy. I'm a video guy. Jeff, what do you like?
It depends. I kind of like both, but it depends on the context. So if we're talking like someone who's off season, we're trying to put some muscle on, the visuals are going to be less frequent. I don't need to see those every single week. Sometimes every other week, but more than likely it's going to be maybe once a month might suit better, or maybe even quarterly. Yeah. Especially if you're dealing with someone with a little bit higher, body fat level. You're not going to see a whole lot visually happening, from week to week when you're off season trying to put some muscle on, when the body fat is up a little bit. So if someone wants to send me photos, I think that suits fine during that time. If they prefer video, I think that suits fine well. Now, if we're talking about someone who's contest prepping, it's kind of, same type of context early on. I can usually have a good eye visually with good photos or good video early on. But as we start changing and getting leaner, then things change a little bit more so. And I want to see actually people moving a little bit more. So, deeper into prep, when you're getting a little bit leaner, I want to see what this person actually looks like when they're getting into the pose. because you can see like them actually flexing. Because in a photo, most of the times people are setting timers. They don't, unless they have the luxury of someone taking the pictures for them. But oftentimes, like, hey, I only have 10 seconds to get this picture off. So, it might be hit or miss as far as like this person's actually getting their full flex on. So can you actually see their true conditioning if they're like in a partial pose? So I just want to, like, the closer we get to, let's say, stage time, if it's a bodybuilder, then I probably prefer video over photos. Again, if it's a super inconvenience for someone with video, then I might say, okay, let's just get the photos, because I don't want to cause a ton of stress, especially if they're getting really close to showtime. But yeah, the higher quality photos or video we can get, the better, especially the deeper into contest prep as someone's getting pretty lean.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually opened up another can of worms in my head, but we'll get into that later. This is because remote coaching. I think a lot of people were kind of, when it first came about, suspicious of it, because it's like, the limitations, right? And to be honest, it's like with all the devices we have now, it's if anything, quite often we're trying to get people to kind of slow down when it comes to some of the background noise data.
Yeah.
Like it's like, Jeff, I measured my biceps and they're down half an inch. Something like that, right. So, I personally, I like video. I like video because, and I like the thing that you mentioned about the intervals, Jeff, in regards to like how frequently, because if someone's like performance is just going across the board, like just up, it's like, do we really need to take pictures? Why do you suppose that's happening? It's probably because we're gaining some muscle. So actually, to connect that thing that popped into my head, I think in the off season, it's like physique pictures, like you said, even quarterly is okay. Monthly, sure. Anything more than that, it's like, I don't think it's very useful.
I think like one caveat to that, it can kind of hold people accountable too. Because like some people have adherence issues to, let's say, diet. Absolutely. They tend to eat a little bit more. It's like, oh, I gotta send coach a picture in 2 weeks. I better not.
Yeah.
I better stay true to what I'm supposed to do. So that's the only caveat I would say to that one. But yeah, for the most part, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, off season, I think I'm more a stickler on like, can you get me training videos? Because the numbers only tell you so much, right? It's like, okay, well, that curl's moved awfully fast. I'd like to see what that curl looks like. And I think that's actually like more important, But in regards to just physique, bottom line, how that's going, I think I like videos because sometimes you catch things that maybe you couldn't in pictures. And maybe that for example, like I like front and back relaxed poses because there's the least amount of things that can go wrong in those. It's like you do your little Gumby pose. Like, it's pretty easy to like flex. Like that's what people look like, right? They look like Gumby.
Gumby.
Especially when they start out, they look like Gumby.
That's gonna be my cue now when I'm in the audience, like Gumby. Squeeze your cheeks, Gumby.
There's a lot less flickering that happens in the front and in a Gumby pose, right? It's a lot less, like, back double bicep, notorious for. It's like you can have the guy take 4 different pictures same day, and each one is like like there's just a huge difference, especially with newer guys, right? So I like the front and back relax because flex those muscles, they kind of tend to stay on. But also I think the benefit of video is sometimes when they're like moving into their poses, you will catch little details that you're like, oh, okay, look, that wasn't there. That little flicker on the side of the quad, homegirl here didn't have that just like 3 weeks ago. We're moving in the right direction. So I like that bit. I like the fact that you can catch things that, might save adjustments or that you might have missed out on otherwise. So I like video. I still screenshot like certain things just for the sake of so I don't have all these videos to look through and kind of consolidate it with their files. But yeah, video. And then I think I like, I'm particular about my lighting. Are you guys as particular about your lighting?
I'm only particular if they send me some pictures and it's really bad lighting. Then I'm like, okay, let's get this changed. But for the most part, like in the initial email, there's instructions. Hey, this is how we want the pictures taken. So if it's like early on, if it's not too terrible, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to see a whole lot anyways. But the deeper we get into this, if the lighting doesn't improve, I'm going to say something. Hey, we need to move this, hey, get to a gym lighting or something, just to see if I can see more as far as if this person's actually improving the way I want them to improve.
Yeah. I think early on off season, not as much of a stickler. As long as it's not terrible lighting. I've had an athlete before. He's my boy too, so I can call him out, but I won't call him out. But if he listens to this, he'll know who I'm talking about him. He was filtering his pictures, like IG filters, screenshotting them, sending them to me, and I'm like, that's cool, but but I don't need to see him like that. So yeah.
So
I guess,
that person always looks full.
Oh, they looked grainy. Dorman hates grainy. Yeah. Even though we had 15 to lose. Yeah. Get the, what is it? I forgot what's the name of that filter. I forgot which thing. The structure. All the way up. Yeah. This dude filtered me in a picture once where I had the weird ass tan. Like I was orange because he was focusing on himself when he was filtering it. And I'm right next to him. And so he looks good. Doesn't bother to like fix me or hook me up. And I'm like, you post that? I look like dream tanned. But yeah, I guess lighting not as important as being consistent, like early on in a prep, early general fat loss or off season. But we probably want to watch for things a little bit closer or be a little bit more particular as we get closer to stage shape. Would you guys agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and don't be too terrible. What's the word I'm looking for? Complimentary with your lighting either.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Bert's done a great job of just spreading information on lighting to the masses, because I can't get over sometimes how people can be so particular with their pictures and they get like the perfect lighting. And I'm just like, I know you don't look this good all the time, and I know you don't look this good 8 pounds over stage weight. I think we need to tone down the complimentary lighting here just a little bit. Give me something that maybe is a little bit more, away from the natural light of the windows, maybe turn an actual light on in the room instead of just all natural light, because sometimes that can be super deceiving too.
Oh, the sideways natural light. I can take a picture right now and you're going to see separation in my quads that you're like, I think you're 10 pounds out, Bert.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, like some people don't realize it. Like they might not be knowing that they're actually enhancing it. They're just like, oh, I'm just taking a picture. I didn't realize that, these certain angles of lighting are going to drastically change. Like you could, like when I do Skype posing, like when I'm doing the quarter turns on people, like, okay, they're doing, let's say the left side relax, like they look awesome because there's only so much light hitting them. So it's creating all these shadows, and it's like, damn, he looks deep. Like these insertions just look deep. Then you go, okay, let's do the opposite side now. And it's like, whoa, where'd everything go? It just totally just washes them out. Like it just totally changes. So the lighting definitely plays a huge role in perception of how people are actually looking. And I think the lighting, I think it is a pretty important part. But again, we're talking more like assessing like competitive bodybuilders deeper into contest prep versus someone who's like off season or early in the prep when they're a little bit softer. Because I think early on I'm relying more on numbers as far as progress, like what's the scale kind of saying and things like that. And then a little bit later on, I'm like, okay, I need to pay way more attention to the visuals.